As an English learner, you want to improve your vocabulary, and this is the equation you need. L plus M plus F. And today I'm going to teach you how to use it. This video is being brought to you by italki. italki offers one-on-one tutoring lessons from native language teachers. The beautiful part about italki is you can learn how you want. You can choose from over 10,000 teachers based on your personal goals. You can pay what you want. That's right. You decide the price that you can afford and you only pay per lesson. And you also can study when you want to. You can take the online lessons at the time and place you decide. And this is why I love italki so much. I'm so happy that italki sponsored this video and partnered with Speak English with Tiffani. And you guys can click the link below in the description to get your coupon. Let's jump right in. All right. The first letter L, stands for learning the word in context by reviewing sentences. So look at this graphic that I drew out for you all. The basic idea is you will either look at an image that has a sentence describing it, or you can actually see a sentence from a book. So again, either there is a sentence describing a certain picture, or there is a sentence that you have seen in a book. It's important to learn the word via context. Now, the M stands for memorizing the dictionary definition. This is part 2. So what you want to do is go to the dictionary. After you've learned the word in context, you go to the dictionary and you actually memorize the definition of the word. And finally, the F stands for finding 3 synonyms or similar words for the vocabulary word. Now, why is this important? You see, when you learn vocabulary, it makes it easier for your brain to continually use that vocabulary when you connect it to other things. So, like we said before, other images or context from a book, and now we have other synonyms, other similar words. Let's put this on the top right here. So, this will help you remember not only one word, but 1 plus 3. Okay, so let's see this in an actual example. Here we go. Remember, the first part is L for learn. So we have an image right here, and we're going to learn in context. This is the sentence. The platters of food are sitting on a white marble table. Now, if we look at this image, we can see that there are different things in the picture. For example, we see that there are garbanzo beans, these beans right here that you see in the picture. Then we have an avocado right here. We have it sliced on the picture. I love avocado, by the way. And then we have curry. Okay, we have curry right here. And finally, we have rice. Okay, the rice right here. Again, it looks very delicious. So we have a platter of food sitting on a white marble table. Remember, we're learning in context. Now, another sentence is, the image displays a healthy and wholesome lunch. Well, again, from the first sentence, the word we're focusing on is platters, okay? Platters. Now, the next step is to find the meaning, but we're going to continue with the second sentence. So, looking at the image again, we see, okay, well, rice provides fiber. Okay, this is something healthy for you. Protein can come from the curry. Then we can get potassium from an avocado, and we can also get protein from the garbanzo beans. Now, what's happening right now is these are facts that you already know because you understand the image you are looking at, okay? Now, in the sentence, the word we're focusing on is what? You guessed it right here, wholesome. So now what we need to do is we need to go to our next step and find out the meaning of platters and also of wholesome. So here we go. The next step is memorize. Now, again, our sentence was, the platters of food are sitting on a white marble table. So platter just means a large flat dish or plate, typically oval or circular in shape, used for serving food. Now, an oval looks like this, okay? This is an oval. And of course, as you know, a circle looks like this. Now, in our example, the platters were like this in a rectangle. So, they don't always have to be an oval or a circle. They can also be a rectangle, okay? Now, so we're understanding what the word means. Again, you have to memorize a large flat dish or plate, typically oval or circular in shape, used for serving food. Now, some example sentences that we get from the dictionary are, did you see the huge platters of cold cuts? Now, real quick, huge just means very big, okay? Very big. I've explained that in a previous video, but it just means very big, okay? Next, we have, I'll have the seafood platter, okay? And finally, we have, there is a fruit platter on the table, okay? So what do you notice? You'll see right here in front of the word platter, we described what type of food is on the platter. And for here, we just described the size of the platter. So again, we've seen the definition and we have memorized it, okay? Now, what we need to do next is look at the second word. The second word was wholesome. Now, the sentence was, the image displays a healthy and wholesome lunch. Now, remember, we are trying to memorize the definition. So, the definition of wholesome is conducive to or suggestive of good health and physical well-being. So something that is good for your body. That's what the word wholesome means. And again, you have to memorize the definitions for part 2, okay? Now, let's see some example sentences. Here we go. The first one is, the food is plentiful and very wholesome. Now, real quick, the word plentiful just means abundant, okay? Means to be a lot or have a lot, okay? All right. The second sentence is that supermarket sells wholesome food, okay? Again, nutritious or good for your physical well-being. And finally, children should only eat wholesome food. Well, we know that's important because children need food that will help their physical well-being, okay? So we've memorized the definition. Now our next step is to, you got it. Now we need to find 3 synonyms for our vocabulary word. So our first vocabulary word again was platter, and our second one was wholesome. Now we need to look at the synonyms for the first word. So here we go. We're going to go down. So our first synonym is dish, all right? Our second synonym is tray, and our third synonym is plate. Now again, remember, a synonym is just a similar word, okay? So we'll look at some example sentences using the synonyms. We see right here, let's change the color real quick. A large dish of food, all right? So what happens? Right here, we have dish, okay? Now we go down, a large tray of food. And what happened? We replaced dish with the word tray. And finally, a large plate of food. And we replaced tray with plate. So now we know a total of 4 different words because we know platter and we know dish, tray, and plate. Now, on the other side, when we bring it down and we look at the synonyms, we have the first one, healthful. The second one, nourishing. And the final one, nutritious. For pronunciation's sake, let me say that one more time for you all. Nutritious, okay? And again, let's see the sentences. A healthful meal. Where do we have it? Right here in the center. Next, we have a nourishing meal, all right? And we have the word right here. And finally, we have a nutritious meal. And again, we have the word right here. So we have 4 words. So we have learned a total of 8 different vocabulary words because we followed the equation. All right, let's move on to our next example. So again, we're going to learn. Now we see a wonderful picture here, okay? It looks like somewhere near the ocean or an island. Now, this is the first sentence we have. Again, remember we have to learn in context. Here we go. The waves crash against the rocks and land to create what looks like white foam. So we see the land, we see the foam right here. We see the waves, and we also see the rocks and the land right here, okay? Now, our key word for this one is crash, okay? We're looking at that vocabulary word, learning it in context, okay? Now, our second sentence is, there are many rock formations in and around the water. Remember, we're learning in context. So, we see rock formations right here, okay? Now, the word we are focused on is right here, formations. So, our two words are crash and formations. Now, we're learning in context. So, you can look at the picture and see or guess what those words mean. Now, if we move on to our next screen, we'll see memorize, part 2 of our equation. All right. So, the sentence is, the waves crash against the rocks and land to create what looks like white foam. And again, our focus word is crash. The word means to move or cause to move with force, speed, and a sudden loud noise. So again, your goal is to memorize for this step and look at the sentences that are given as examples from the dictionary. Here we go. Huge waves crashed down on us. Now again, in the previous example, we learned the word huge, which just means very big, all right? So our second example is, the thunder crashed outside my window. Now I'm sure all of you know what thunder is, but just as a reminder, when there is a storm outside, usually if it's really bad, you will hear thunder and lightning, okay? So this is a cloud, and from the cloud, you may hear thunder and lightning, okay? And finally, we have the waves crashed against the boulders. Now, boulders are just large rocks, okay? Large rocks. So they're a lot bigger than the normal size of rock, and sometimes they're even bigger than a human being, okay? We call those boulders, all right? So we've memorized the definition for the first word. Now, the second word was formation, okay? Here was the sentence. There are many rock formations in and around the water. Now, looking at the definition, we have the action of forming or process of being formed. And the second definition, a structure or arrangement of something, okay? So again, your goal is to memorize this definition. Now, the first sentence example from the dictionary is, I see a cloud formation in the sky, all right? So you'll notice that in front of formation, we have cloud. Why? Because that's describing what type of structure it is in the sky, all right? And next we have, the soldiers were standing in formation. Again, this one is speaking about soldiers being the structure or form in this sentence, okay? And finally, we have the scientist studied the rock formations. Again, the rocks are the formation that we're speaking of, okay? So we've memorized the second word's definition, formation, okay? All right, now the next thing we need to do is find. So we're going to find 3 synonyms. So again, the first word was crash, and the second word was formation. So we're going to come down here and look at our synonyms. The first one is smash. The second one is hit, and the final one is knock, okay? So looking at our sentence, we have the rocks smashed against the wall. And again, we can even replace this word with crashed because they have the same meaning. Next, we have the rocks hit the wall. Once again, instead of hit, we can say crashed. And finally, we have the rocks knocked against the wall. We can change that again to crashed. Now, I want you all to remember, the reason why it is so important to not only learn one word, but to also learn 3 extra synonyms is because this will create connections inside of your brain, which will make it easier for you to remember the word, the vocabulary word, later on when you are trying to speak in English. Okay, so these connections are very important for you as an English learner. Okay, all right, now for formation. We have these 2 words right here. Okay, now I just chose 2 words for this one, for the synonyms. Okay, we have group and configuration. All right, so here's the sentence. A group of mountains. Now, once again, we can say a formation of mountains. And finally, a configuration of mountains, which again can be replaced with a formation of mountains. Okay? All right. Now let's move on to our next example. Here we go. Again, we start with what letter? You got it. We start off with the first letter, letter L for learn. Okay. Now the sentence we have is, the man is holding his body erect as he sits on the metal stool. So looking at this picture, we can see, again, this is a man. He has a man bun. Now, this is something that's very popular in Europe and also America. So I'm curious to know if it's popular in your country as well. So yes, we can see that this is a man, but he's grown his hair long, and we call this a man bun. Okay, this is something interesting for you guys to know. All right, so we have the man sitting here. And then we can also see that he is sitting what seems to be very straight up, okay? He's sitting in this chair right here, all right? This is called a stool. And again, you can see it right here, okay? So our sentence describes this part of the picture. And again, the word we're focusing on is highlighted in white, and it is erect. Once again, erect. All right. Now, the second part of the picture, the second sentence is, the woman looks overjoyed as she talks to her friend. So, looking at the picture, we can see that the woman's facial expression shows that she is what? You guessed it. She looks very, very happy. So, for this sentence, the vocabulary word is overjoyed. But again, we've learned it in context. So when you think about this picture and how the woman looks, it will bring to mind this word overjoyed. And when you think about the way this man is sitting at the table, you can think of the word erect. All right, so let's keep going to learn a little bit more. Remember, memorize, okay? So we're going to memorize the definition. Now, the sentence was, the man is holding his body erect as he sits on the metal stool. So the word erect means rigidly or stiff, upright, or straight. Okay? So remember, you're going to memorize for this step. And here are the example sentences from the dictionary. The first one is, she stood erect with her arms by her sides, which means she was standing very tall. Next, he told his students to stand erect, okay? And finally, the man was standing very erect, okay? So you see the examples right there. Now again, we want to memorize the definition at this point. We've already learned it in context. Now we are memorizing the definition. Okay, now let's look at the second word. Now the second word was overjoyed, overjoyed, which in the sentence sounds like this. The woman looks overjoyed as she talks to her friend. Now, the word overjoyed means to be extremely pleased and happy. Okay, extremely pleased and happy. Now remember, from the picture we saw, the woman looked very what? She looked like she was very happy. Remember, she was smiling really big as she was talking to the man, okay? The woman looked very happy in the picture, okay? Pleased or happy, all right? Okay, so the first sentence from the dictionary is, they were overjoyed at his success. Again, so this person's success made them happy, all right? Second, we have, Michael will be overjoyed to see you. So again, seeing you is going to make him happy or pleased. And finally, we have, he was overjoyed to learn that he passed. So learning that he passed made him feel happy, pleased, or overjoyed. All right, now the last part of our equation is F, find. So we have each of the words right here, erect and overjoyed. Remember again, L plus M plus F. So let's find some synonyms, okay? So here we go. We have two synonyms for the word erect, all right? I just chose two synonyms for this time, okay? All right, upright and straight. Now again, remember I said you can find 3, but it is totally up to you. You can find 2 to 3, or you can find more. It's up to you, okay? All right, so the first sentence is, he was standing upright. So we have the word right here. And we can say he was standing erect. And we have he was standing straight. So we replaced upright with the word straight, okay? All right, now for the word overjoyed, we have these words right here. We have ecstatic. Now I'm going to say it one more time. Ecstatic. Then we have thrilled. And finally we have elated. Now again, all of these words mean extremely pleased or happy, okay? So the sentence is, the fans were ecstatic. Again, we can change this word to be overjoyed, okay? Next, we have, the fans were thrilled. Once again, we can replace the word with ecstatic or even with overjoyed, okay? And finally, we have the fans were elated. So, because it's a synonym, it can be replaced by any of these words above, okay? All right, so again, L plus M plus F, and you can memorize vocabulary words in English. Once again, I want to thank italki for sponsoring this video. Remember, you guys can click the link in the description and you can get a coupon towards your first lesson, your first tutoring lesson. Keep studying English and remember to watch the next video. Have an amazing day.